The origin story of Rhode Island is the story of innovation. Roger Williams, who founded Rhode Island and Plymouth plantations, was kicked out of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, ostensibly because he was interested in free love, i.e. you could choose your partner. And he maintained very open and close relationships with the Native Americans in the area and helped develop a place that was fairly open in its municipal and sort of cultural policies at the time. We can make the claim that Rhode Island is the birthplace of the American Industrial Revolution. One of the very first real mills in the Northeast was the Slater Mill in Pawtucket. And the Slater Mill, so Samuel Slater was either an entrepreneur from the American perspective or an industrial espionage agent from the British perspective, came with a whole bunch of ideas and was funded by either, again, nefarious industrialists or angel venture to develop and apply these techniques, these milling techniques that were very effective in England, and to begin to develop them here. Jump forward, let's say, to the 1970s. So the rest of the country goes into a recession. Providence goes with it. Rhode Island goes with it. The rest of the country comes out of the recession sometime in the 80s, and Rhode Island doesn't. So one of the Providence Renaissance, as it's called, was really spearheaded by the then Mayor Buddy Cianci, who, along with who wanted to see the transformation of the city, and through the vision of architects in town, actually opened what was the largest parking structure in America, which covered the river, and created the River Walk, which then local artist Barnaby Evans began to think about how to use as a festival location and develop something called Waterfire, which started to bring in people from all over the state. And Rhode Island is a state in which if you have to drive 10 minutes, it's too far. So people who had never been in Providence before in their entire adult lives would now come in to see these events. We have a community in which there's significant members of both the RISD community, people who come to teach at RISD, people who have come and graduated from the place, building a significant arts and design kind of community that is just deep in the fabric of Rhode Island. But at the same time, it's still the city and the state are still experiencing the difficulty of comprehensive economic development. So on the one end, Kip Bergstrom, who was at that time the head of the Rhode Island Economic Policy Council, started to engage thinkers like Larry Quick and New Commons and people to come into the city and to start to rethink an economic policy that might understand both the intrinsic natural and cultural resources of the place and figure out how to kind of come up with a bottom-up strategy that could help, or rather a bottom-up understanding that could create a kind of a coherent strategy. Between the Business Innovation Factory, which was a nonprofit state agency and is now a freestanding nonprofit, the Rhode Island Economic Policy Council, which was a sort of a quasi-governmental organization, and then local developers like Buff Chase, who's done a lot downtown to really reinvigorate the urban setting in the city itself, NGOs like Puente or the Steelyard, RISD faculty, and other kind of groups. There's quite a lot of overlapping activity that I think still is kind of the root of what makes this place unique.